أعزائي المشاهدين، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. نرحب بكم في حلقة جديدة من برنامج الحد الأدنى. ما زلنا نبحر في محيط واسع من التاريخ السوداني القديم، حيث تنتصب الحضارات السودانية واقفة وشاهدة على ما قدمته للإنسانية من عطاء حضاري وتاريخي ممتد. سبق واستضفنا في هذا البرنامج من قبل البروفيسور فيلدون وعدد من علماء الآثار الألمان من قبل، وكذلك استضفنا عالم الآثار السويسري الشهير شارل بونيه، وفتحنا وقلبنا صفحات التاريخ لنسبر غور وعمق تاريخ الحضارة السودانية القديمة. في هذه الحلقة نفتح فصلا جديدا من دولة ظلت تهتم بالأثر الثقافي للسودان منذ عهد قديم، وتجدد هذا الاهتمام أيضا في العصر الحديث بدرجة كبيرة. يسرنا أن نستضيف في هذه الحلقة البروفيسور الدكتورة كرنشوفا إلينورا. مرحبا بك كرنشوفا إلينورا، وهي بروفيسور في التاريخ الشرقي بالجامعة الروسية للعلوم الإنسانية وعضو أكاديمية العلوم الروسية. Welcome to our program.
Assalamu alaikum. I regret that I don't speak Arabic, but I promise to you next time to study Arabic.
Amen. We'll be more than delighted just to contact
Thank you. I'm very happy to be with you on this broadcast program.
Thank you very much. كما سبق وأن عرفنا المشاهد الكريم، بروفيسور إلينورا تخرجت من كلية التاريخ من جامعة موسكو الحكومية معهد الدراسات الشرقية، وهي مدير المركز الدولي للتربية وعلم المصريات منذ العام 2000. تهتم بتاريخ وثقافة وادي النيل في المصريات القديمة والحضارة السودانية. هي عضو عدد من الجمعيات المهتمة بدراسات وادي النيل، حضارة وادي النيل القديمة وخاصة المصرية. هي عضو في الجمعية الدولية، وكذلك عضو في عدد من الجمعيات منها الفرنسية والإيطالية. هي حضرت إلى السودان في العام 2008 لتعمل في البعثة الدولية المشتركة للآثار الروسية والإيطالية في منطقة أبورتيلا. لها كتاب عن الآلهة والرموز في تاريخ الحضارة السودانية القديمة، كما أنها أيضا أنتجت في العام 2006 كتالوج للمتحف القومي للسودان. We just reading your CV, which is very rich in terms of academic, and we are really delighted to have you in our program.
Thank you.
Okay, maybe it might be mindful to start our discussion that what motivated you to come to Sudan first time?
You see, I studied Sudan from my years in the university. I have met a professor in Russia who created a school, a special scientific group for studying ancient Sudanese civilization. He wrote a book about Napata and Meroe and proposed me to continue to study ancient Sudanese culture. And I did it as a PhD, and after it I continued it as a habilitation, also thesis. But many years ago, I studied Sudan being in Russia. I had no opportunity to come here. And once at one of the international conference, which was in Poland, I met people who wanted also to be in Sudan, Italian people, and we asked Sudanese responsible for the antiquity, please,
National
if
Corporation for
possible,
Antiquities.
National
Corporation for
Committee
Antiquities.
for Antiquities and Museums at that time, please, if it's possible, to organize excavations. And they thought, yes, okay, please come and make a choice. And I asked the advice, and Dr. Salah proposed me Abu Irtela. This site was never been even on the map because it is a small village, and Dr. Salah started to organize a cooperation, excavation, archaeological, with Sudanese and French. But it happened something with one of our famous French archaeologists. He died. And Dr. Salah had another very interesting project in Dangale, and Abu Taylor was abandoned. And he proposed to see, and I involve people from Russia, specialists in georadar investigations. It's absolutely Russian equipment, which just now is famous in other countries, but at that time it was the first experience in Sudan with Russian equipment. And they made investigation in Abu Irtela, and they said us that there is ancient monuments, it's for sure. And we decided to start the excavations, and frankly, the excavation was absolutely exactly the map after georadar. Absolutely. And we excavated there with two teams, Italian teams and Russian teams.
We are coming to that. We are coming to that just to listen to your story about what did you excavate in Abortela. But I have a question that you may be one of the earliest generation from Russia. Just to had interest in studying ancient Sudanese civilization. Why Russia came late for excavation to Sudan?
Oh, it's a pity. In principle, Russian archaeologists worked on the UNESCO appeal when it was extraction of High Dam.
Yes.
But they worked in Wadi al-Laki in Nubia. They Wadi al-Laki,
yes.
And they found there something, but after it they didn't continue it. Many problems, you see, financial problems, political problems. It was impossible to organize, to be responsible for everything, for being here, for accommodations, for excavations, for publications, the results.
It was not a top priority at that time.
Yes. Unfortunately. And I'm really proud that I was able to continue the Russian tradition, the Russian school in ancient Sudanese civilization, because after the death of my professor, there were no people. One of them was Sudanese, Assam el-Nur.
Yes.
He returned to Sudan, and after it also, just now, unfortunately, he died. And other people find another job, and believe me, I was alone. And being alone, it's impossible to be sure that the expedition will be good and successful. And just now, trying to continue, I create another generation. I have just now in our mission all the people which is necessary to have in the mission: architect, specialist in 3D photo, archaeologists, ramologists, everybody. And also my proud is Sudanese lady who defended PhD in Russia, Hassan Bashir. And she helps us very much, and we cooperate also with Sudanese.
So can we say that confidently that you are the first Russian lady to come for excavation in Sudan?
Yeah, it is, you see.
So you're making history.
History. When I came for the first time, I don't forget it for all my life. I was alone, woman.
What time was that?
It was 94, something like this. I was here. I prepared the catalog of the Khartoum Museum. I wanted to see Sudanese monuments, and I traveled alone. And people were so kind towards me. They have only Kisra and Malachia, and they told me, Fadal, please take it. They give me water.
The normal Sudanese generosity.
Very, very nice people, you see, with the bus. I took with me water and 10 dots, maybe, something like that. And there were no bridges. It was very difficult to travel, for example, from Khartoum to Jebel Barkal. It was a great trip. But I wanted to see monuments. And I did it. And people understand me. Understand. I tried to explain that I am alone, nobody accompany me, I am a woman, I put something on my head.
Scarf.
Scarf, yeah, scarf, and so...
To respect Sudanese tradition.
Yes, I tried to respect Sudanese tradition. I speak a little bit, several words in Arabic, and that's all. And people were so kind to me, and I don't forget it, believe me, all my life. And I saw practically every monument. Every important monuments in Sudan. I was in Dongola, I was in Jebel Barkal, I traveled up to Wadi Halfa, and after it I took a boat to...
Did you feel secure?
Yeah.
Personally secure?
Absolutely. No. You see, I feel myself absolutely free, and people tried to help me, which were around me. Tried to help me, tried to understand me.
So first time you came, 1993?
In Sudan, yeah. And I worked here in the museum preparing the catalog photo. And after it, I returned to check up my manuscript. And after it, I published it.
It was a historical moment and event at that time because it was the first maybe publication coming from Russia regarding Sudanese...
And you see, at that moment, there were no catalog in the museum. I saw this museum, I saw how happened, it's so rich, many interesting objects. There is no catalog. And we decided to make it. It was first that just now it exists. Other people try also to do something for the museum. But up to now, there is no general catalog. Not all the objects are described. However, there is something just now, and it is not bad. And of course, starting from that time, my dream.
But you came again 2008.
Yes, it was my dream to organize the excavations. It was really a dream. I didn't know how to do, who will come with me, and so and so. And after it, I took a decision, let's try. And we organized this mission.
Together with Italian.
Together with the Italian, because you see, to make all international efforts to excavate. And so 10 years passed, and just now we have good material for big book for publication.
Why Abortela specifically? Is there any historical significance for Abortela?
It's just now we can say that it's a great significance as archaeological site. First of all, it is on the Nile. It is desert. It's around 9-10 kilometers from Nile. From the Nile. It existed there, Wadi Hawad, and people lived there. And the great Sudanese king Natakamani, who ruled around 1st century AD, established there the temple. Absolutely traditional temple, look like existed in other places. Very interesting, and we have found there altar with Egyptian hieroglyphs, which were written, the name of Natakamani, his cartouche, Kandaka Amanitore, and benediction of the god to be on the throne. That means it was the most sacred place. We have found there 3 sacred stands for bark. Also, 2 were complete. One was practically, the third one was practically complete. Also,
how long did it take you, to discover all this? How long? 2-3 years?
Yeah, 2-3 years. Just now we keep it in the storehouses. And we hope maybe one day we shall organize a museum. Small museum of Abortela, because it's very important things. And we have found there the ancient rite of supporting the sky. Goddess support the sky. They tried to hide their Isis, the goddess Isis. And everything is done for the benediction of royal family. I have read it in Egyptian texts. And it is also interesting that they use Egyptian language. 1st century AD.
It was not Meroitic language?
But, yes. It was language for sacred texts, because at that time people spoke Meroitic.
Yes.
We have found Meroitic ostrakon there, written in Meroitic. This year also I have found another one, Meroitic words. But sacred texts were in Egyptian hieroglyphs. There were texts that were only maybe several priests can read.
So just to make the clarification here, so the sacred text was in Egyptian hieroglyphic, and the normal daily language was Meroitic.
It's for sure.
Why this distinction?
I think because it's something sacred, you see. It's not for the ordinary people.
For elite only, a royal family.
For royal family, for priests. For example, please imagine, they take a sacred bark, boat. Boat float through the temple. They had special direction. It was on the shoulder of the priest. It was a kind of oracle. And the words of oracle was transmitted from high priest to ordinary people. It was not necessary to read the text. The text was understood by maybe the king, but for priests for sure, who wrote this text. The text is absolutely comparable with the text in other temples where Meroitic language was in use. For me, it's I must think about, I don't know, because Natakamani, this king, in his other temple used Meroitic. But here, I don't know why, he used text in hieroglyphic. I compared, you see, I prepare a special article, it will be published in the book. I compare the language of the same king, Meroitic and Egyptian. It's very interesting. But I think that it was a great secret. My opinion, it was a great secret from ordinary people who come for praying.
So we can say that, I mean, the language of society at that time were bilingual. They speak Meroitic and they speak hieroglyphic Egyptian
for sacred texts.
For sacred texts. So, I mean, if we could focus more about the description that you gave us right now and narrated right now regarding the structure of the state, the royal family, and all that. I would like to focus on the role of women at that. They are goddess at that time, and it seems that they had very strong role to play within the royal family. Can you shed lights on that?
Yeah, with great pleasure. This family is very, very interesting. First of all, several years ago, one of the scholars read one of the graffiti from Nubia. And he wrote an article that the lady Amanitore was not the wife, he was Kandaka, that means mother.
Yes.
It's very interesting that ladies in that time played very great role. What we can say, the same cartouche of Natakamani, here Amanitore. This year we have found a part of the column. Here we have Natakamani with his cartouche, looking at Amanitore with the same cartouche. And as far as what not woman or mother, that means that the succession, for example, who will be the next king, the mother played the most important role.
Correct.
This
was not patriarchal. Was not patriarchal at that time.
It was more or less patriarchal, but mother was very strong. Female line was very strong.
They were the kingmaker.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure, and with this example of this royal family and with the other examples, looking back to the ancient Sudanese history, it was, I think, every time, mother was very strong. For example, you see the king offering the god. At side is woman, and it is written the king's mother.
Yes.
And for example, from time to time, king's wife also, because he is potentially mother for next king.
Yes.
That's why it was. But this family is also interesting. You see, they have 3 sons. But what we have found in Ambuir Taylor was concentrated on one son, Sorkaror. He is a king, and he is represented in Jebel Gali, defending the country against the enemies as a king. He has everything, crown, everything. He is standing on the enemies, and above him is a sun god who delivers him a power. And it's very interesting. Just now we can reconstruct ancient Sudanese history. Here he was nominated, and on other monuments he was a king.
We are trying to reconstruct and link together the pieces of the Sudanese history in the old time. So this discovery and this excavation tell us that the Meroitic civilization, was it connected in a way, as you had pointed out, regarding the sacred text that had been written in hieroglyphic Egyptian? Any connection between the Nile Valley, between the old Egyptian civilization and the civilization in Sudan?
You see, for me, this year, it's absolutely surprising that there were a connection, of course. And I can imagine how the ancient Sudanese kings came from the Nile to this place. I think of what he used, camel or something else, chariot
donkeys,
or something. Donkeys, maybe horses.
That time I think elephant.
But, maybe even elephant. But there are several similar features. But in Abu Irtela we have found something absolutely unique. Decoration is unique. This year, from time to time, is similar, from time to time, absolutely unique, no comparable. Rites which were there. Believe me, one year we have found procession around the podium. I tried, 2 years, I tried to find similarity in other, I didn't find. This year we have found the same around another temple. And just now I can say it is unique.
It's very unique.
Very unique.
Very distinctive.
This year we have found another temple, smaller than the previous one, but many lions. That means it was a lion temple. We have found a statuette, which is not comparable with another. Position of the lion, decoration, form of the statuette. Lion is very famous in ancient Sudanese civilization, but what we have found, it's something unique. And we can say just now that it was a lion temple. Lion in front of the temple, lying lion, and many lions.
This is quite common, actually, the lion temple.
But
and also the civilization.
But the figure of lion is maybe unique. Maybe the ground plan, is not comparable with another. I can't answer just now this question because I must check up after. But what I saw this year, absolutely 1 week ago, on my view, there were many things which are not comparable with another.
So this we'd like to emphasize this.
You see, we have on the same territory 2 temples just now. Maybe we next year find next one, but just now we have 2 temples.
I mean, we would like to re-emphasize this point again, that there is something distinctive, something unique.
Something unique.
Very unique, that uncomparable, because a lot of archaeological scholars, they think that, there is a real clear distinction between the old Sudanese civilization and the old Egyptian civilization. There are 2 theories. One indicates that, the Nile Valley civilization almost sharing the same features. And some other theories and some scholars said that, no, there is a real distinction and uniqueness for the old Sudanese civilization from the old Egyptian civilization. This is very important, but we would like to discuss that after our break. Can we do that?
Yes, we can do it.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Thank you very much. أعزائي المشاهدين، فاصل قصير ثم نعود، فابقوا معنا. مرحبا بكم أعزائي المشاهدين مرة أخرى، ونحن نواصل الحوار مع الدكتورة كرنشوفا إلينورا، بروفيسور في التاريخ الشرقي بالجامعة الروسية للعلوم الإنسانية وعضو أكاديمية العلوم الروسية، والتي ظلت تعمل في مجال الآثار والبعثات التنقيب عن الآثار منذ العام 2008. توقفنا في الجزء الأول من هذا الحوار حول ما الذي يجعل الحضارة السودانية القديمة متميزة ومستقلة بنفسها عن حضارات وادي النيل القديمة بالذات مقارنة بالحضارة المصرية. Professor Eleonora, we stopped short before the break actually to answer the question that whether the old Sudanese or ancient Sudanese civilization was unique enough to be distinctive from the old Egyptian civilization, or, you know, the Nile Valley civilization almost look the same. What do you think?
No, I belong to the school which considered ancient Sudanese civilization as a unique civilization. It was first time.
It was not a copy.
It was absolutely was not a copy, and the first time it was stressed by my professor in Russia, who wrote a book about Napata and Meroe, and who was against the people who tried to explain ancient Sudanese culture as a copy of Egypt. And I follow this tradition and continue it in my works. Of course, there are several similarities for two reasons. One of them, it was a long time, the territory of Nubia up to the Fourth Cataract belonged to Egypt, and there were great interconnection and Egyptian administration here that was give a strong trace. But, however, we can find in Kerma, before coming Egypt, absolutely unique culture, absolutely Sudanese typical temples and other things. The same we can see in Napata and in many examples in Meroe in the region of Butana. It's absolutely unique. For example, we have three-headed lion god Apidemak. Nothing compared. Apidemak. We have elephants here, nothing in common with Egypt. We have a moon. We have found, by the way, in Abortela, the big
Sudanese
picture.
have a special passion for moon.
Picture of moon, big picture, nothing.
In Egypt.
Of course, moon was there, but here it was a specificity. In moon.
Sudanese have a special passion for moon.
Yes, of course, because it's great picture of moon, crescent and moon. That means they calculated months by moon. Sun god, also many sun god, and we specifically pictured here in Sudan with a comparison of Egypt. And not only Egypt influenced Sudan, Sudan influenced Egypt. For example, in the 3rd millennium BC, Sudanese gods were introduced into Egyptian pantheon. They were worshipped also in Egypt, not only in Sudan. And of course, for another sample, great beads and great bracelets, and so never were in Egypt before connection with Sudan.
We have one of the unique, actually, and very rare, you know, Amani Shachito. Pieces of gold, that is.
It's great thing, you see. Amani Shaketa collection is something absolutely marvelous. And if we can try to understand this, it's absolutely Sudanese culture.
Yes.
It's not, it is also the nomination of the king. It's possible to see there how it was, how the king was born having father God and mother normal woman, and how the queen is presented to God, how they are together, how they born the new child. It's interesting. Another thing in this collection, if you are speaking about this, it's birds.
Yes.
Birds. Also unique, not comparable with another things. and thrashing animals and many things.
So we don't need actually to elaborate how unique was the Sudanese ancient civilization, because there are a lot of evidence can prove that.
Absolutely.
But I would like to touch upon one thing, that about the structure of the religious life within the royal families. I mean, God is an ISIS. I mean, definitely there is common features, and also there is some differences between the Egyptian and the Sudanese ancient civilization together. Is there any differences within the sacred and God and goddess structure and the families?
Of course, there are differences. For example, in Egypt, Amun has his wife Mut. In Nubia, I am convinced that the ram head come from Nubia. Because in Nubia there was a ram with a sun disk on the head.
Yes.
Being connected, the god Amun became with the ram head and sun disk on the head. Several scholars are against, but I am convinced that it comes from here, from the connection.
It's from Nubia.
From Nubia, and here in Nubia we have a special god Amun, who was with the ram head, and he was the father of the king. Celestial father. Of course, it was a normal way, but the king was on a half a god, and his father, because his father was Amun.
Yes.
And it was another Amun. It was not Amun from Egypt. For example, even in hieroglyphs, it's read a little bit different from the Egyptian. They were Amun of Napata, they were Amun of Meroe. It was not Amun Egyptian. It was another one. In every place, important places in Meroe, it was own Amun, but not Egyptian Amun.
So, I mean,
Isis. You have asked me about the Isis. Isis was comparable with Apidimak.
Yes.
Here in Meroe. Of course, they took Isis because Isis was godmother, and godmother, you see, is everywhere, even in Christianism.
Yes.
Isis played a great role in Christianism as a godmother. They took Isis to here, but she was associated with Apidimak, with local god. And so they took the right to hide her, to take her to the sky.
Yes.
Of course, it was also...
I mean, I have, if you allow me, we have two questions this juncture. One is regarding the Meroitic language. Till now, we couldn't decipher the language to be, readable for now. Unlike all scholarly effort, that they have been exerted to understand and to read the hieroglyphic and the old Egyptian language. Any effort that's going on right now for the Meroitic language to be readable and understandable for us?
You see, it is readable. It's absolutely readable, but it is very difficult to understand because, you see, we have not found bilingual text. For example, how Egyptian hieroglyphs were deciphered. They have found bilingual text with Greek, and so it was possible. Just now we can read everything in Meroitic hieroglyph and cursive inscriptions. We can understand, for example, the words like king, king's wife, priest, good, bad, and so other. We can more or less understand the position of words, for example, prefix, suffix, and this and that. For example, if we find law, that means it is place. If we find Kore, that means king. But to read it as we read another language, unfortunately, it is impossible. Now, it's great efforts of the French scholar Claude Rilly who worked here, who have found in Sudan many texts, but no bilingual. That means it's only we need. I think we must wait to find a bilingual text. For example, I easily find the correspondence in cartouche, the name, because I have the name written in Meroitic.
Ah, okay.
See? But it is not the whole text. That means more and more every year gives new discoveries and more science, more and more ideas how to read, but not, for example, how you make translated from Arabic into English or English to Arabic. It's impossible.
Okay. Another question regarding how was the old Sudanese civilization was connected to other civilization, especially with the Mediterranean Sea, because scholars like William Adams, who wrote about Nubia corridor to Africa, he thinks that that Nubia, or the old Sudanese civilization, was a bridge between the Mediterranean to Africa. So that uniqueness of the location and like a connector, civilization connection between this and that. Do you think that this old Sudanese civilization was interactive with the other civilizations that exist during that time?
You see, we must not forget that ancient Sudanese civilization was not only between Mediterranean and, for example, Africa, but where we can find in Africa traces, I don't know. It was also the way to the east.
Yes,
it
correct.
was Aksum. It was province of Kassala.
Yes, correct.
It was way to the Red Sea. And the situation when Aksum was on the Red Sea gives them forces and possibility to invade Meroe and to destroy it. Because Meroe was very famous by export of elephants' bones and incense. And it flourished on this.
Ivory, yes.
On ivory and incense. But Aksumite was on the Red Sea. And the direct connections with the Arab people who organized traveling to India and to other countries. And they don't want to have Meroe as a country who gives ivory and incense.
Okay.
They wanted to take it in their hands.
For economic interest.
And they were successful. But you see, for example, when people from Mediterranean came to Meroe for Christianism, to Christianize people. Missionary, Christian
missionaries.
They have found there people from Aksum. They did it before. You see? That means we don't forget the situation that Meroe was not only the corridor from Mediterranean, it was also the influence from the east.
East.
Yeah, this is, of course. But speaking, for example, about Greek and Roman civilization, I was convinced that the Sudan was the southern limit of Hellenism. I wrote it in my books many times. But how it was? There were not too much Greeks in Meroe because the way was very, very difficult. Cataracts and desert and so and so. That means that from
the temple structure showed that.
Yes, the temple structure show the similarity with Hellenistic also style. But, for example, the influence came from Egypt and in direct
yes, link.
Because we have sources when it is written that Greek were here. And we have found many objects absolutely Greek style.
Yes.
That means they also formed the specific Sudanese Hellenism. It was not Egyptian Hellenism. And I can prove it with many examples. It is like this. But of course, Nubia played great role as a connection with Mediterranean through Egypt, of course.
I would like to shed light also on how can we develop this cultural exchange, academic exchange, scholarly exchange between Sudanese institution and Russian institution. You said before that there is some items from Sudanese old civilization in one of your museum in Russia.
We have not too much things, something because in former times they made a gift to the mission, and we have something from Wadi Alaki. But now...
In which museum in Russia? Right
Pushkin Museum. Pushkin Museum. Also, it was our dream to organize an exhibition. We negotiated many times, but just now it is a problem of sponsors because it's very expensive, things. But now, for the moment, we do hope, we don't lose our hope to make this exhibition. But at the moment, we also developed the good relations with the universities. And we signed an agreement with the Jebel Barkal University, memorandum of understanding for the moment. We were there together with Nijud. I gave a lecture, presented a lecture there. We had a meeting with the president of the university. He will come to us, to Russia, to our university, because I'm working also in the university. I'm working in the Academy of Science and in the university. And he will come to us. He would like to create the center of the ancient Sudanese civilization. I'm happy, you see, because to have in Sudan the same center as we have in Russia. And maybe we shall develop our connection to student, to double diploma, Russian and Sudanese. Just now we are on the way to do it.
This is great, because one of the concerns that, you know, regardless of our old historical academic and cultural exchange, which way back to the 50s and all that, and we have a lot of students that graduated from Russian university and former Soviet Union universities, but our current connection in cultural exchange is still not up to our aspiration. What we need now is how can we introduce the knowledge of knowing all Sudanese civilization to the Russian public, to the students, to the elites.
You see, we try to make all our efforts, because I feel, speaking with ordinary people in Russia, I feel they don't know practically anything about Sudan.
Yeah.
And we organize in Moscow lectures of your ambassador, Dr. Nadir Yusuf Babikir.
Yes.
He, every time when we invite him, he comes to us to make a lecture for students, professors, academic people. We organize, for example, a round table discussing past and actual time Sudan. That means, for example, I'm responsible for the ancient history, and he presents the situation and answers all the questions. And just now we are planning to make an exhibition of the Russian painter who were in Sudan. That means Sudan by the eyes of Russian painter.
Artist, yes.
We try to do all our best to let to promote this, to let know people that Sudan is very interesting ancient civilization with pyramids. They ask me pyramids, about how it is. They're in Sudan more than in Egypt. Another style, another construction, by the way.
Yes.
It's not a copy of
no.
Egyptian pyramids. Yeah? And we try to do our best because, for example, the last event was a celebration of 200th anniversary of our institute, creation of our institute.
The Oriental
and Dr. Nadir Yusuf Babikir came to us with very good films, and all the staff, practically all the staff of the embassy, participated in our scientific conference when we discussed the ancient Sudanese history. I presented also the report, and he demonstrated film, and there were many questions. And
so
it was international. It was international. We had people from another countries, not only Russian, but he usually twice in a year, it's for sure, he comes to us with reports and communications, discussions, and like this.
So I think the future of our cultural and academic exchange in field of archaeology will be so promising. Having in mind that your mission is continued. There is another Russian mission, I guess, that is still working in Sudan on that. But maybe before the final question, do you support the process of separating in international museums, like what in London did, and other international museum like in Munich, that they're separating right now Nubian section from Egyptology section. So based on the uniqueness and distinction between two civilizations, do support that kind of displaying these different items of these two civilizations together?
You see, unfortunately, in principle it must be separated, but unfortunately in Russia they have no, first of all, we have no objects in Russia to make a special Nubian, for example, collection. I wanted to make a separate Sudanese section and Egyptian section, but in my university they told me we have no finance to pay you for two positions. That means please do Nile civilizations, and we separate just now ancient Egyptian and ancient Sudan. It is. It will be under my responsibility, and of course, I would like to develop Sudanese culture and history because you see, in principle, I also work in Egypt, but my love is Sudan and Sudanese culture from my young years up to now.
Do you have Sudanese students working with you in this field?
I don't know how to say about Jude because he is half Russian, she is Sudanese, of course, but she is not student. She is just now PhD.
As a PhD.
We had.
So this is a continuous effort for.
Yes, it's continuous effort, and I must tell that I am heartily thankful to Jude and to her family because they support us to accommodate here in Khartoum, in Sudan. We are friends for many years. We had students from Shendi. We try to explain him. We invite students to
from the university.
From the university from Shendi we had. We invite up to now people. Maybe if students want to come to us to have a little bit practice in this and that,
good.
We invite. But so you see also. We must wait, and I do hope that our relations with Jebel Barkal University will be good because it's supported by the president of the university, by rector, and by other people.
This is, this academic and cultural exchange is very important to promote actually the knowledge and of the Sudanese civilization and culture. Finally, maybe the final question will be about your social interaction. How do you interacted with the Sudanese local people and native people during your excavation mission here? What do you know about the Sudanese culture and the open society that you feel in Sudan?
You see, I love Sudanese people. as I have told, my first visit in Sudan, I was impressed by the attitude from the native population towards me. And just now, you see, very interesting, when we came for the first time in Abu Ertela, in the village, people looked at us and said, no, 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 no possible to rent house, no possible to come, nothing. Years passed after year, and people come to me and support me. And just now, it was one man who worked with me 10 years.
10 years
Balula told me, I love you, really. He invited us to be in the family. Can you imagine only surrounded by mud brick wall? Only one room for the whole family. He organized maybe 2 years ago, because he worked with us, maybe a little bit salary. He gives us what he had specially prepared, zalabia. He asked wife.
He shared with you what he had.
This year it was a problem with bread. People brought us kisra. Please tell, there is no bread. I love them very much. I remember the names, and I think about them. We have many photos, and every time Stenaga inshallah. And really, but again and again, my first step for organizing the mission was with the family of Nijud. Her mother is like my mother. We like each other, and they really help us with everything to accommodate, to know this and that. And just now, you see, I feel Sudan is at my home.
That's great feeling. That's great feeling.
My second home, you see.
Thank you very much.
This is like this.
Dr. إلينورا, thank you very much for your time with us. It was a great pleasure to have you in our show.
Thank you very much. شكرا جزيلا.
شكرا جزيلا.
For me, it was really interesting.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. أعزائي المشاهدين، الآن نصل إلى خواتيم هذا الحوار مع الدكتورة كرنشوفا إلينورا، بروفيسور في التاريخ الشرقي بالجامعة الروسية للعلوم الإنسانية، وكذلك عضو أكاديمية العلوم الروسية، التي ظلت تعمل في الاكتشافات الأثرية في السودان منذ العام 2008، حيث حضرت في العام 1993 في أول زيارة لها، وقد عكست اهتمام مجتمع العلماء الروس في السودان بشأن الحضارة السودانية القديمة. وقد أكدت خلال الحوار وهذا اللقاء الهام، رغم ضعف المعلومات عن الحضارة السودانية القديمة في روسيا، لكن هناك جهود علمية وتبادل أكاديمي وثقافي بين المؤسسات والجامعات السودانية والروسية في هذا الشأن. وقد أكدت أيضا أن الحضارة السودانية القديمة لديها استقلالية حضارية ذاتية تعبر عن نفسها وتكشف عن مكنون هذا التاريخ الباذخ الذي يحمله السودان الآن. بذلك لا نجد سوى أن نجدد شكرنا لها وتقديرنا لها على هذه السانحة التي تحدثنا فيها عن جهودهم العلمية لاكتشاف الحضارة السودانية القديمة. تقبلوا تحيات خالد موسى، تحيات الفريق العامل، وإلى اللقاء في حلقة أخرى. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. شكرا إلينا.